Hey guys, so we've talked previously about economic indicators and how they show the health of the economy. We've looked at things like interest rates and inflation. Today I wanted to talk about unemployment. You'll remember that we had previously discussed this issue of how the U.S. generally tries to keep unemployment at about 5%. But how do we get that data? Where does that 5% come from? How are we measuring who is and isn't unemployed? Well, today I'd like to take a look at it, and you'll notice that this is the Wikipedia page because it's really a pretty good place to get some more information, but also to be provided as a resource for you guys in case you want to dig a little bit deeper. But let's go down here and we'll take a look at the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. So in your organizer that you'll see from the instructions from Echo, you'll see that you have a bunch of like circles that are sort of like Venn diagram-ish that all have U1, U2, U3, all the way through U6. Each of those are the data points that the U.S. collects on unemployment, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what each one of those does to get a sense of how we're measuring unemployment, and also which of those numbers is our official point that we're trying to keep around 5%. So let's start with U1. So this U1 data point is basically the percentage of the United States labor force that is unemployed for 15 weeks or longer. So these are people that have been unemployed for just 15 weeks or longer. So if you've been unemployed for 13 weeks or 12 weeks, you are not counted in this number. This is just people 15 weeks or longer. So you can see how this would be a pretty low number, low percentage of the population. So U2 collects all of the people in U1, but what this adds is this is the percentage of the labor force who lost jobs or completed temporary work. So this is people who fairly recently lost jobs. So this cuts out this 15 weeks thing. It extends it by including all these people, but also folks that completed temporary work. So in Napa, there's the crush where wineries are trying to get a bunch of employees just to come and work for like a month or two. And it's really obviously not enough work to survive on. But so these people start getting counted in U2. These people that have done any work at all, but really aren't like functionally employed in a way that would help them survive in a way that we would think about it. Those people are now added to U2. So U3 is the number that we use as our official unemployment rate for the United States. And this is the number where it's counting people that are without jobs but have been actively looking for work within the past 4 weeks. So if you've heard anything about people, collecting unemployment benefits, this is generally where they fall. So it's people that have been without work, but have been actively looking within the past 4 weeks. So you may or may not have heard people trying to be on unemployment and how they have to prove that they have been applying for jobs and how they have to prove that they've been, being interviewed and those kinds of things. Because if they're not doing that, then they get cut out of this unemployment count altogether. So U4 counts all those people in U3, but now it adds discouraged workers. So people that just plain quit looking for work because the economy is bad and they don't really see any openings for what they do. So this is where you start hearing people like software developers or programmers that just quit looking for work because there's no work to be had in that industry. They're just discouraged. They just don't feel like they can find reasonable work, so they just sort of quit looking. So you can imagine that those people that quit looking, they're not qualified for this looking for work within the past 4 weeks that needs to be done for our current number. But they're still not working, obviously. They're still not collecting money. They're still not helping the economy. So that's why U4 collects that information. It counts those people. So U5 counts those discouraged workers and all the people in U3, but it also starts adding in these marginally attached workers. So this is people that would like to work, but haven't been looking for work recently for a number of reasons. Sometimes this is people that, they've had something happen in the family and they need to take care of their parents, and they just haven't had time to look for jobs. They'd still want one, but they haven't been looking for one because, other stuff's happening. Maybe this is people who went back to school, went back to try to, earn a degree, to learn more, to be better able to contribute to the economy, They haven't been, applying for work recently, but they still like a job and they're still able to work. So U5 starts counting all those people. In U6, it counts all the people from U5, all the people from U4, and it also adds people that are part-time workers who would like to work full-time but cannot for economic reasons. So part-time workers generally aren't making enough money to survive. They're usually working, for low dollars per hour, generally around minimum wage. Usually not enough to survive. So many of these people would like to work full-time. If you are working part-time, even if you're not making enough money to survive, you are still not counted by U3. Only until U6 do you start counting these part-time workers who want to work more. So you can see how U6 would be a significantly larger portion of the population, and in some ways, these people aren't employed the way that they would want to, and aren't making enough money to really contribute to the economy. So you can see how it's still important to count them. So I'm going to jump over to this table that has these labor statistics for the past while. Make this a little bit bigger. You can see how, remember, U3 is our main number, and for the past while we've been keeping that around 5%, which is really our goal. We've been keeping that around 5%. But if you take a look down at U6, all of those other people and those part-time workers and the discouraged workers, this is quite a bit bigger of numbers here. So you can see that if you're starting to count these other numbers of folks, it's a big jump. This is no longer around 5%. So the question that I pose to you is U3 the most honest way of looking at who is and isn't unemployed? Is this 5% really honest? Are we really at 5% of people that are unemployed? Or should we be counting these other numbers? I'll leave that up to you to decide.